California's Gold is produced in association with KCET Los Angeles and is seen statewide on California Public Television. This series is endorsed by the California Teachers Association, the California School Boards Association, and the California Library Association.
Hello everybody, I'm Huell, and here we are in the very southern part of Southern California. We've come up here to look out at Interstate 8, which connects Yuma, Arizona with San Diego. On any given day, hundreds of thousands of cars and trucks go whizzing up and down this highway. Of course, the interstate hasn't always been here. Before the interstate, this is what was here. Good old U.S. Highway 80, which connected Yuma with San Diego. And back when US 80 was at its heyday, travel was a little slower, and there were all kinds of neat roadside attractions that people used to stop and visit on their way to San Diego. Well, US 80 has kind of been chopped up. In most places, it no longer functions. It no longer even exists. It's growing up in weeds. And most of the roadside attractions have disappeared as well. But today, we're going to visit one of the attractions that still exists. I've got on my tourist shirt. We're going to pull over to the side of the old highway and spend the day at a place right over here. This roadside attraction that's still alive and well and still very much an example of California's gold. Well, this is going to be a real adventure. We have left the highway and we have come over here. Here's our guide. Ben, introduce yourself to everybody.
I'm Ben Schultz, current owner of the Desert Tower.
The Desert Tower, and a beautiful tower it is, and it looks very historic. Ben, tell us the history of the good old Desert Tower.
Well, this is the only place within 50 miles that you can see east off the escarpment into the desert. And the tower was built to commemorate the pioneers coming through this, the lowest spot in the hillside.
Can we walk over here and see what you're talking about? Boy, look at this view. And this is the only place that you can get a view like this?
Yep.
What are we looking at?
We're looking at the drop, 3,000 feet drop in 14 miles into this Imperial Valley. And notice the freeway taking a long loop so that it can drop altitude at slowly to get down to the valley through this whole canyon area.
Now, did this used to be the old stagecoach route?
Yep, right, that little skill right up.
Right over here is where the stagecoach used to come up.
Yep, and then in 1912 they managed to get the first freeway through there. You can still see the remnants of it between the two freeways down there.
Why is this sitting out here in the middle of nowhere?
Well, this was owned by a man who actually bought the entire town of Jacumba in 1920, and this was a town booster. Welcome to the great city of Jacumba.
Now, is Jacumba still here? I saw an exit off the freeway.
It's a little town right about 5 miles west of here, and it was going to have a border crossing, which would have made it a tremendous economic powerhouse, but the border crossing went to Tecate instead. So
the tower is just sitting here.
The tower is sitting here to remember the dreams of Bert Vaughn in 1920.
Okay, so he built this out here in the middle of nowhere to kind of boost the town of Jacumba. And has it just been sitting here ever since? What's the story on the different chapters in its life?
Well, he gave it to his son as a hunting lodge in 1927, and his son had a friend at Yale named Dennis Newman, who's still around in Del Mar, who comes out and holds court here. And he put the outer rim on it. He put the stairs in it on the roof on so that people could go to the top and look out. He made it into the roadside attraction it is.
Okay, so before 1927, did you say? This was just a tower. This part down here at the bottom and the part up at the top wasn't here.
No,
it was just a tower.
Just the inner stone monument there.
But it was always kind of a landmark from when it was first built. For travelers coming up and down the highways, they'd see this tower perched up
Very
here.
much. I've had people that remember seeing it in 1928.
Really?
And remember driving this road and seeing the tower and knowing they were coming out of the desert and that it was going to cool down pretty soon.
Do you get a lot of visitors who have stories about coming here 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years ago?
Very much so. I have original sign-in sheets from 1950, and people come and say, I signed that in 1950 when my class came out here on a school field trip.
So this has always been a big deal to come to the tower.
Very much so.
And this is interesting. Let's take one more look. That's what you're talking about. There's the California and Arizona desert out there. Then you climb up here to this lookout, which is 3,000 feet above sea level. And from here, you head kind of into friendlier territory, heading towards San Diego. It gets cooler and greener. And
Yep, a lot cooler. I think before even swamp cooling or any kind of air conditioning, people actually would come out of the Imperial Valley up here to go from 120 to 100.
Wow.
And this was a weekend destination, especially the Jacumba hot springs.
all right, well, we don't have time to go to the hot springs. We're just going to hang out in the tower. Can we go all the way to the top?
Absolutely.
So what is there, like a circular?
Yep, there's a stairway on each level, and over the years there's been a collection of different kinds of collection of artifacts as you go up the tower. It's sort of low right now, but I'm getting old photographs and putting them back up there so you can look out and see what you used to see.
Boy, this thing is really well built too. That's I mean, that's a lot of stone and a lot of concrete in there.
That's 4 foot thick, and even when they blasted out the freeway, which is very near to this, it didn't crack. There's no sign of any kind of structural infirmity in it at all. I don't believe there's any steel in it, but at 4 foot thick and with the round shape, I think it'll hang up for a few years.
Well, let's go inside. It's been here since 1922.
Yep.
It's an official state and national historic landmark.
That's California. It's actually 2 California historic landmarks on this property.
All right, let's go inside the old desert tower and take a look. Inside the desert tower, and here to greet us is somebody else. Your name is?
Susan. I'm Ben's mother.
Oh, you're the mom.
Uh-huh.
Now, what is your responsibility here? Are you the greeter?
Yes, and I tell people about various things they can see and give them one of our brochures and try to make them very welcome.
And who comes here?
Oh, every kind of person. People from all over the world come here.
Have they heard about it, or did they just see it perched up here and try to find it, try to get to it?
They see it, if they're coming up from the west, they see it as they come by, and after a while they finally say, oh, I'm going to go there.
I got you. Come on out here. You don't mind if she gives me a little bit of the tour, do you? Now, if we're walking through here, what would you tell people about this room right here and what it was used for?
This room here was used basically for tourists to come in and be able to see the desert all around, and to see the various historic parts of this area.
Now, would they just come up here and sit, get a soft drink, and sit around and...
They can stay as long as they want.
And now you've got it fixed up. I'm not sure whether this is a museum or a gift shop or what it is.
Well, it's everything. Yes, it is a museum, and it also all kinds of gifts for children, particularly. Children love to come here, particularly to climb up the tower and see from the top.
All right, that's what we want to do. Is there anything else around here?
There's a place to sign in, and we love having people sign in. If you want to see here, these are the people that have signed in since the early 50s.
Oh my gosh.
And we love to have them sign and say something special if they like.
Now, look at this, is this the original sign right here?
That's the old sign, yes,
I'm going to sign in right here because this is part of history right here. Can I just put California's goal there too?
Sure.
This is now part of Boy, thousands of names
Yes,
here.
look at this. And we just love for people to sign in.
What is this back here? This is kind of a halfway little thing going on back here. What is this?
That little guy scared me when I was 4 years old. He's not moved from that spot in 40 years. And if you look at him...
You came out here when you were 4?
Yes, my mother had 4 boys, and we'd be fighting on the road, and this is a place to stop and get out and stretch our legs a little bit.
So you brought your boys here when they were kids?
Yes, and we stopped often. We would be on our way to the desert or back from the desert. And we would, they loved climbing in the rocks and loved coming in the tower.
And now you own it.
Yes.
See, history has a funny way, doesn't it?
It does.
Now we're heading into the inner sanctum, and a beautiful inner sanctum it is, Ben. What's the story on how this room has been used over the years?
Well, this was the original room at the lower part of the tower that was the hunting lodge room since 1922 to 47. It has a beautiful quartz fireplace.
So this is all local quartz in the fireplace here.
Yep, there's a lot of big quartz crystals lying all around this area, and they built that front. And that fireplace goes up the full length of the tower, and it draws really well. This is very warms the room great.
And it looks like it's well used these days as well.
Very much so. I love it.
Now, what do you use the room for today? You've got, this is kind of like a little gift shop in here for your tourists. What else is it used for?
Well, on Thanksgiving last year, my whole family came, 17 people and 9 dogs. And we had a big table here and had a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Wait a minute. You had Thanksgiving dinner for 17 people and 9 dogs in this room.
Yes, and we had such a good time.
It was a friendly time. Where did you put everybody?
Well, we managed.
on the stairs and all around.
Wow.
We had a Chinese tour bus come through and observe us all.
Having Thanksgiving dinner.
Yes, yes.
Well, that's part of the charm. You never know what you're going to see in the Desert Tower. Is that part of it, that this place really is kind of every day is a new day, because you don't know who's going to stop by here and what their story's going to be?
Absolutely. And there's such interesting people that come through.
Now, what do you mean interesting?
Oh, all kinds of people that have lived here, lived for 70, 80, 90 years, that come back and tell us that they've been before. And then, of course, little darling children about 2 years old.
And what are the kids
around.
like, just running all around?
Yes, It is just lovely, and it makes it such a pleasure.
All right, I'm a big kid and I want to do some running around.
All right.
Because this is just the inner sanctum on the first floor. We've still got, how many floors? How far does this go? Come on, Ben.
57 steps.
57 steps to the top. All right, now is this technically called the second floor?
Yes.
And what goes on up here?
Well, as you can see, we have several different kinds of things. Old artifacts.
Oh, here's a picture. Here's a case with old
Pictures of the tower.
In it. Now, does it get, is this smaller than the room downstairs?
No, it's the same size. The tower goes all the way up, straight up in a circle. No coming in.
Look at this, though. The window's open. And here's our first view, although this isn't really the view yet, is it? We've still got more view yet to come.
No. We throw out dog food every morning for the ravens who land here and then talk over the whole situation.
All right, so now we're going to go up to the, what is this, the third level we're going to? Level 3. Well, this is level 3. Oh, you've got a whole little kind of music. What is this?
This is a sea turtle that you would see down in the Gulf of Mexico. He's been sitting here, the same spot, for at least 40 years. Every kid has to touch him.
So when you all bought this place a couple of years ago, a lot of this stuff came with the tower.
Definitely. This is mainly Indian artifacts here, Native American. Yes.
But you've also got kind of an Asian parasol here.
As you said, we're eclectic.
Well, and this is kind of a old desert plant, just kind of.
Yucca, yeah.
And this looks like it's been here 40 years too. Well, this is all very exciting, but it begins to look kind of all the same. Let's take another look out the window. This is the view from the third level. Now this room looks like a work in progress.
Yes, we have big plans for this room.
What are you going to do up here?
I want to show more pictures.
All right, so this is going to be like a little gallery up here, history gallery.
Yeah, so it's something to explain what you're seeing as you look out.
Yeah.
The view's tremendous, but it helps to sort of label some of the things you're seeing and some of the peaks nearby.
Looking out the window.
Yep.
Now, I got to tell you, I'm having a good time, but this is beginning to get old. How much further up do we go?
Just one more.
We're almost there? All right, let's look out. Now, wait a minute. This is a door.
Right.
What was a door doing up here?
Well, when alien spacecraft landed, they needed a place to step out. And then they put the little gangplank in here, and then you'd step to the spacecraft, and off you would go.
That's the explanation you all give to that question?
Always, yes.
It probably plays very well with most of your visitors, doesn't it? There is a door right here. This is amazing, and let's look out this is the view that the aliens would have when they arrive at the Desert View Tower. It just keeps getting better each level up. Okay, oh, this is nice up here. Now, you've got this thing kind of set up as an observation tower up here.
Yes, isn't it beautiful?
This is where people come to literally just look and see.
Yeah, you can see east from here almost 100 miles to almost to the California-Arizona border. And as you look up the canyon here, you're seeing over half of the whole Anza Borrego Desert system.
Isn't this interesting that you really do kind of get a sense of history when you're standing here, don't you? Realizing, well, you and your boys were here years ago.
And before that, 80 million years ago, there were volcanoes here, which you can see the end of.
Right here, from right here.
Yes, right around through here, yeah.
Wow. So this really is one of the best views of the desert. This tower was appropriately named.
Yeah, the Desert View Tower. And yeah, you can see 2,000 years of human movement through this area here, and wonder what it would be like to come walking from 120-degree desert up in through this. I think it's amazing that people did it at all, and to do it in a consistent way to travel is just nothing short of amazing, without a car, with air conditioning.
Well, you said that this tower was originally here, not only put here by the Chamber of Commerce of this little town,
Jacumba,
but also as kind of a tribute to those early pioneers.
Exactly. And the pioneers coming through here in the 1880s, 1816, 1880s, but then before that, for 2,000 years, the local indigenous people coming through this particular section. And
very historic stopping off place.
Yes.
We came in the wrong door. This is another door to the tower.
Well, it's a round building. You can come in any way you like.
People make that mistake? You were telling me that there used to be a lot more stuff around here.
In this area, there were a bunch of minerals and little figurines and things out in here that over the years have just gone down, that I hope to bring back, or have someone who's smart come and bring them back for me, someone who loves that sort of stuff.
Well, over the years, the tower's probably had, pardon the pun, its ups and downs, hadn't it?
Yes,
I mean,
it has.
It's gone through periods when it was real busy and when it was not busy at all.
Yeah, very much so. But I think people are starting to love the thought of their own history, and this is very much part of San Diego's history.
You know what? We didn't know this bell was here. It says, please ring the bell. How do you ring it? Just
smang in there. There you go. There's not a kid who doesn't love that one.
So you did this for the kids.
Of course.
Small and big.
That's what this place is for.
All right, we are leaving the tower because there's something else very significant up here. In fact, in many ways, it's as significant, or even more so, than the tower, isn't it?
Yes, this is California Monument number 936.
Don't
up
give
in
it
those
away.
caves.
It's right up here in that big pile of rocks. It's California Historical Monument
936.
936.
A folk art environment.
I see it peeking out of the rocks. This is it. This is what we're going to see. Actually, it's the first of many. What are these carvings, Ben?
Yeah, in the 1930s, a man carved all these. He had to stay up in the dry, high altitude. He had tuberculosis. So he stayed in the hotel in Jacumba, which was owned by the same man who owned this property. In return for carving these animals, he got to stay in the hotel for 10 years, all hand carved.
Out of the rock. So we've got a lizard here. We've got a snake. Look at this, Cameron. A snake coiled up over here. What have we got over here?
We got a buffalo, and then my favorite, who just reminds me of me.
What is that?
Well, he's a bald old guy, that's all I know.
I don't know what kind of an animal this is. But look at this. Now, which way do we go?
You can go all the way around. There's caves all the way through here.
Did he carve all of this out of the stone?
Very much. This stone, if you notice the long, beautiful curves in it, is actually mostly carved by wind over thousands of years. And he would see something that suggested something to him and bring the animal out of it.
This is amazing, the way all of this... Oh, there's another one. So he just took a rock that was already kind of laying there and made that into the Indian chief.
Yeah, if something would suggest itself to him, he would just go ahead and pull it out of the rock.
Look at this. What was this?
I think that's something that Sesame Street stole from us.
That is just...
Isn't he beautiful?
Great. And all down in here are more little
carvings?
caves.
Yep, and kids go nuts up in here.
Look at, here's the back of one. It's kind of hard. Oh, look at this. This is another one of these. It's kind of hard to tell what it is.
Well, I think he's the dog.
Uh-huh.
He used
the desert
to have
dog.
Yes, he used to have tremendous teeth hanging down, but over the years they've fallen out. Someday I'll do
What's this over here?
I think those are reptiles emerging from the stone.
They don't look finished.
I think they may have been his last ones, and he never finished that one the way he did most of the rest of them.
Isn't it interesting the way all of this plays off the desert tower, so it actually became a kind of a 1-2 combination?
It's a wonderful thing to have these two. This is sort of a kid thing, and run up in the caves and fun and get that energy out, and then go to the tower and see how beautiful it is out from here.
Yeah.
It's a special place.
A skull. What's that all about?
Well, he saw what he would look in the rock and see what was in there, and I guess that day he saw a skull.
One of his dark days.
It's a beautiful, beautiful spirit.
How many of these carvings are there through these rocks?
There are 37 altogether in the various caves and on the hillsides.
Is there a trail that people follow? Or?
No, it's there. You just find your way through the maze, and the kids go crazy finding the next sculpture.
Boy, I tell you what, he didn't run out of material. This really points up how rocky this part of... Are we in San Diego County?
We are next door to San Diego.
We're in Imperial County.
Yes, we're the last house. We're right on the line.
Before you get to San Diego
Before
County.
you get to San Diego.
Now, what was the guy's name again?
This man named Ratcliffe. Now, I don't know much about him. He certainly never gave any personal information, but he was up here carving by hand for 10 years. Wow. But I never heard him, there's no quotes from him talking about his feelings about it or anything. But these are beautiful, beautiful folk art. This is a great art.
Well, this is folk art at its best.
Very much. I think so. I think
his name again was?
W. Ratcliffe. I don't even know his first name.
We found a human visitor here. What's your name?
I'm Raul de la Rosa.
Now, why are you here?
Well, I pass through from El Centro to San Diego every week on business, so I decided, out of all these times I walk through and pass by, I said, might as well stop.
Had you seen it? You can see it from the highway down coming towards San Diego.
That's true. You can see it very much so. And I heard all the stories about when my mom was a little kid taking the old highway and seeing the tower and things of that sort. So I said, might as well stop.
Well, have you been up in the tower?
Yes, sir, I have. It's a very, very nice view. You can see a lot of the the outlining from the Salton Sea. You can see the old highway. You can see the valley where I'm from. And
Yeah.
it's very interesting. Very
But you didn't know about these things, did you?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
What do you think about these?
I don't see how that's humanly possible, but it's real good.
He
real
carved these things, this artist did, out of the rocks back in the 1930s.
He must have been very bored. He must have been very
Yeah,
bored.
but he was very artistic.
Very artistic, very patient. I mean, you can tell it took a lot of time, a lot of effort, and this is the work he did, and it looks really good.
Well,
really
are you
good.
glad you stopped?
I'm very glad, very glad. I mean, I learned something today that I didn't know, and you know the old saying, you learn something new every day, so the more you know, the better off you are.
Your name again?
I'm Raul.
Well, that's it. That's been our visit to the Desert View Tower and Boulder Park, because really it's two for the price of one, isn't it?
Exactly, exactly.
Both of them are amazing. Thank you all very much for a wonderful, wonderful tour. You know, these things used to be all up and down the highways of California. There are not many of them left these days.
No, and it's a shame. I think now with the modern freeways and modern cars, people don't have to stop. But so you look around in little backwaters and you find these great things that especially kids need to look at and remember.
Yeah, it's part of Americana. I don't want to say we're at a backwater.
Well,
The little town down the road is
Jacumba.
Jacumba. They wouldn't appreciate us saying that. But
Yes, they wouldn't mind. No one would mind.
We are on the side, we are a little off the beaten track, but what's so amazing about it is we are literally right beside Interstate 8.
Mm-hmm.
All people have to do is just swing right off here, and they're going back in time to a time when this place was a hot spot on Highway US 80.
Party City at the Desert Tower.
Well, I don't know whether you can say it was Party City today, but we certainly learned a lot. We saw a lot. We went back in time and spent some time at this wonderful roadside attraction. Thank goodness you all have bought it. You're new owners. You're restoring it back to its original grandeur. It is alive and well and open for business. And not only is it this wonderful example of a California roadside attraction, but as we said earlier at the beginning of this program, let's take another look at it right there. The Desert View Tower and Boulder Park, they're both fine examples of living California's gold.
Well, hello everybody, I'm Huell Hauser, and I sure hope you enjoyed this adventure. If you'd like to see it again or share it with your family or friends, or perhaps donate a copy to your local school or library, it's available on video cassette and on DVD. All you have to do is call 1-800-266-5727, and we'll be glad to send it to you right away.